Hey guys, J-Man here. Okay, we're doing another Pulp review. We're going to talk about Operator Number 5 or Secret Service Operator Number 5. I just call it Operator Number 5. I think it was called that and then they added this later. But this is from Steeger Books. The link to that website is in the description. I have no affiliation with these people. They're a publishing house that have been doing these Pulp reprints. They're really, really well done. You can kind of see what they look like. They're all about a couple hundred pages. This one's 218, so it's a little longer. They've got the original cover. This guy's actually in it, this red mask guy. So they redo the covers pretty much exactly. And this isn't like some of the other reprints where you get 2 volumes. It's just one. So this is just the complete story. It is not the proper size of the old pulps. It's more like, I still haven't really measured it. I think it's like a 6x9 or something like that. It's like a normal kind of book. So, but it does make it easier to read. Normally, I believe the old pulps, I don't have any old pulps. I do have some kind of replicas, but they used to be like 2 column. This is just like 1. I mean, it's not exact, which is okay. It fits really nicely on my shelf. I bought a whole bunch of these, all of the number ones. Like again, looking at my shelf right now. I already did the Spider, reviewed that. I reviewed G8, check that one out. I reviewed Dr. Yen Sin. And what was the other one? And I think this is the 4th one. I've got Captain Satan. And I got, what else did I get? Oh, Captain Zero, I think was the other one I got. I'm looking forward to reading those. But so yeah, let's talk about Operator Number 5. I'm going to use my space review method. This is what I use for comic books and for movies. It works very, very good with movies and comics. It doesn't work perfectly with pulps, but I've got no other way to review it, so I'm going to go with that. It stands for story, pacing, artistry, characters, and enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2. So 0 is really bad, 1 is good, 2 is great. You can do 0.5s if you feel necessary, if you feel that it's necessary. So story, pacing, artistry. Artistry is just the covers. All of these covers are 2 out of 2, so everyone is going to get 2 out of 2. Look how awesome this is. This is just awesome. Like, if you actually look at this, it's like the pandemonium and everything. This is fantastic. And then the enjoyment is sort of whether I liked it or not. I don't have to break it down. I'm just giving it a score. So for the story, I'm going to give this a 1.5 out of 2. Man, this was an awesome story. So by the way, if every category gets a 1, that means it's 5 out of 10. That means it's an average good story. It's exactly what it says. 5 out of 10 means it's average. I don't go by this theory that, oh, it's either 7 or 8 out of 10 is average. That's not average. That's above average. 5 to 6 is an average movie or book or comic or story, right? Like when you get it to 7 or 8, it's like, wow, that's really good, right? So, most movies that I rank are getting between maybe 6 to 7 if they're really good. If they're amazing, I'll give them 8 or 9. And I'm not afraid to give it 10. I will give movies 10 out of 10. If I think that it's worth 10 out of 10, I will give it to you. Again, it's my own opinion, but it helps you to understand how I got to my number. I don't like when people say, well, this is 10 out of 10 or this is 2 out of 10. Like, how did you get 2 out of 10? Like, that's a really bad movie. Like, I despise that Eternals movie. So, that's probably like a 2 or 3 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still looks cool and there's some cool fights. So it can't be like a 1 or 2, that's really low. Eternals is definitely a below average movie in my, the pacing is awful. The story is very generic and crap and the characters are not interesting, but there's still some sort of artistry to it, like music and the look of it matters, right? So let's get back to this. So 1.5 out of 2 for story. I almost gave it a 2. There's a couple of little bitty things So basically Operator 5, his name is Jimmy Christopher, and he's got a dad named John Christopher. We'll get to the characters. But Operator 5, he's a Secret Service agent. He's up against this masked man who can create darkness. So in the story, there's this empire, this masked, invisible kind of dark empire or whatever, led by this guy in the red mask here. He has this basically it's called a negative gun or whatever. It's like this negative ray. it's basically like an EMP, right? Like it'll destroy all electronics. So just anything with like a battery or anything like that, it destroys that. So basically it just cancels everything out, makes everything black. So he aims it at New York, and it just shuts everything down, turns it into like blackness. And this happens at night, so people are just, don't know where to go. And he's got a bunch of guys that have headlights and masks, and he deploys them out to do stuff. So I'm not really spoiling anything. That's just the basic idea of what's going on. I won't spoil it for you. So I really like that a lot. I almost gave it a 2 out of 2 perfect. A couple of things where I felt were like a little bit like, we'll get more to this in the pacing, but a couple of things where I'm like, there's a few kind of twists in there, which were actually not too bad, but it's almost like, it's a little weird. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a twist. So I don't want to say it's generic because I'm giving it 1.5. I liked how everything played out. I just think that it could have been polished a little bit more. But otherwise, this is a friggin' awesome storyline, man. I think this one's going to get probably the highest marks out of all the ones I've reviewed so far. Next up is the pacing. I'm giving that 1.5 as well. I would almost give it a 2. It's just that there's a few things where I feel like, they need to move on and get the story going a little quicker. This is 218 pages. 218. I think it could have been easily, 180 or something like that, right? So there's a lot of pages where like a lot of things happen. Like, yeah, I get the idea of this. Let's move on. But it's friggin' still pretty fast. Like it's still like pretty short, right? This one took me the longest to read out of all the pulps I got. So that tells you that the pacing is just slightly off a little bit. 1.5 is an amazing score. So far we're at 3 out of 10, and we still have 3 categories left to go. And artistry is 2 out of 2. So we're at 5 out of 10, and we still have the characters to talk about and my enjoyment factor. So the art is 2 out of 2. I love the art in these books. Art is always going to get 2 out of 2 unless I think the cover isn't that good. But this cover is really damn good. So let's get to the characters. Now here's like where it really scores high. I'm giving this a 2 out of 2 on characters. I actually loved all the characters in here. There's the guy that he reports to, Z7, I believe was his name. There's a lot of like K8, Z7, Q5, that kind of thing. So I read this, yeah, Z7. It's Z7 who's his guy. I like that guy. I like Jimmy a lot. I think he's great. His dad is awesome. He's got a sister. She's great too. I think the villain here was freaking awesome. I like the plan of the villain. There's like an assistant villain as well who's pretty cool. They were pretty smart. Like they did a lot of good things that were smart. Jimmy is a great character. So the thing with Operator 5 is that he's got this latch on his key, like his kind of like a keychain or whatever, but like it can spew gas out, so that'll kill everybody. So that's your last resort weapon. But he also carries a rapier, which is like in his belt, so he can pull it out of his belt or whatever. So I guess it wraps around. I always thought, like, how is that visualized? It'd be interesting to see, because there's this movie called The Savior of the Soul, and it's like a Mandarin or Cantonese movie with Andy Lau in it. And part 2, he's got this wobbly sword that comes out, and it kind of like is like wobbly, so just like he fights with it that way. That'd be kind of interesting if the sword was a bit more wobbly, but I guess you could kind of maybe put one around his belt, maybe. Jimmy also does magic tricks, which is great. There's 3 magic tricks in this book, and they're explained how they're done, so that's really fun. And they do play a role a little bit in the story as well. So I love the characters in this, man. I thought they were all great. The kid you'd think would be annoying, but I kind of like the kid. He's okay, he's an all right. So that's Timmy Donovan is the kid. Jimmy Christopher is Operator 5. There's a lot of like numbered people. So K8 was interesting, and then there was who else? I think his dad was Q5. It's hard to remember all these numbered agent people, but they're all really cool. For enjoyment, I'm giving it a 2 out of 2, man. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I really thought this was damn awesome. And the way that my space method works is that we're not comparing this to, like 2001: A Space Odyssey or something. I don't rate things that way. 2001 is one of my favorite books. Arthur C. Clarke and Asimov too, but Arthur C. Clarke, Bradbury, Philip K. Dick, these guys are like geniuses to me. I love all their work. Robert E. Howard is sort of my favorite, like, of these pulp writers. Obviously, Conan is amazing. Cull, right? Red Sonja, Bran McMorn, those characters. Solomon Kane. But I'm comparing this to pulps of its kind, right? So this is about Secret Service Operator 5. Is this the best version of this? And I would say it's 9 out of 10. That's how good it is. It's almost perfect for what this is. That is how I rate it. I do not rate The Evil Dead versus Lawrence of Arabia. Both those movies are amazing to me. Like, I love both movies. Like, Lawrence of Arabia is 10 out of 10, one of the best films ever made. I also think Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger is 10 out of 10. I think both those movies are 10 out of 10. Conan is actually my favorite film of all time. They do not go against each other. I'm talking about, did we get the best version of what was promised to us? So you look at this cover, you know what this is about. How satisfied are you going to be with this? And you're going to be 9 out of 10 satisfied with this sucker. It's awesome. Buy it. Get it now. I'm going to get more of these. They're so good. The next thing I'm going to read, I don't know. I've got a few on my plate that I've got to read. So I don't know what I'm going to read next, but I'm super excited about getting into all these pulps. I'm so happy I found the Steeger books because they've got everything on there. They don't have Doc Savage though. So, but Spider's kind of my favorite guy of these guys. Shadow and Doc Savage, I do have a bunch of those in the reprinted forms. I'd love to get more Shadow and Doc Savage, but what I like about these is that they're in order. It's like you get 1, 2, 3, and you can just buy them. So I already bought Spider number 2. And I told you I already got Zero and Satan that I've got to do. So I'm just getting all the number 1s that they've got to offer. I'll read all those, and whichever one is next, I'll read the next one and go from that. Let me know your thoughts on Operator number 5. Do you like Pulp Heroes? Do you think that they have a place today? I know some things in this book and other books that I've reviewed could be problematic in today's crazy-ass society where we can't separate our minds and we judge everything by today's standards. If something came out in 1901, I'm going to judge it by today's standards and knowledge. So if there's a book out there where they think the earth is flat, I'm going to go and say this book is trash because they said the earth was flat and we know it's not, right? Is that how you review things? Or do you review things of their time and say, well, if I was reading this in 1935 or whatever, I'd be like, this is the goddamn best thing ever, right? So that's the way I review this stuff, and that gives this a 9 out of 10. It's a great book. Get it? Let me know what your thoughts are on these. Guys, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000. It's like, it's like just trying to disarm a bomb here. It's like, I think that might be easier. So please, if you do like this kind of thing, let me know in the comments. I read all the comments and I respond if I can, at least give you a thumbs up or something to acknowledge that you're there. If I miss your comment, it could be that YouTube has blocked it. I have clicked on allow all comments. However, sometimes YouTube's algorithm blocks them anyways and I don't see them. So if that's ever the case for any of my videos, it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's just that I didn't see the comment. It's just that simple. And I don't block people and I don't block comments no matter what they are. So if you disagree with me, that's totally cool. Let me know why if you do. So, and if you agree with me, awesome, let's talk about it. All right, guys, that is it. Until next time.